You just ran me through it. That was working.
I know. This is the story of my life. Awesome. It's probably the batteries.
USB?
Nope.
Can I run by here?
Huh?
Let me run from here.
Yeah, if you want to. Thanks. All right. So, this is to let you, if you want to go, to let you guys know that maybe just enter.
It was too late.
Oh, what in the world? Hold on, we're having IT issues. I wonder if this is the same.
Just do it that way.
I guess so. Okay, so we're required that if you would like to speak, you must have it indicated, as I've all been bothering you as you come in, must have it indicated that you like to speak. If we get to you and you change your mind, that's fine, we can pass over you. We can't, however, go the other direction, and if you change your mind, you want to speak at the end, if it's not signed up, we can't give it to you. So I recommend you want to make that change now, because we certainly want to hear from everyone. If you're not a public speaker, we have written comment. That can be done after the meeting as well, too. So you can do those, turn them over here onto the board, or onto the table here, and we will document all of those as well. Next slide. Public hearing rules. You'll be called on in the order in which you signed in. You must state your name. I know it seems formal and silly, but at the beginning you have to state your name before you make your comment. Each speaker will have 5 minutes. Minutes are not transferable to another speaker. And please confine your comments to the subject of the hearing, which is the water and sewer rate study.
What about people on Zoom? How do they get in to speak?
That's a good question, because legally we need to have indication from them, but it would be a written comment after, actually. We have a couple of participants, and so they would do a written comment, which is 7 days after the hearing. So I will have that form on the website. I will also have this entire PowerPoint presentation up on the website, so if you forget anything, you can refer back to it. So it'll be up there for quite some time. So today we're going to go over rising costs, our income and expenses tied to the audits, our aging infrastructure. We're going to discuss what the rate increases are, and I heard that there's some confusion over our commercial billing, so I've included a couple slides in there as well. Then we're going to go into our question and answers period, and then we will open up the formal public comments section. So, next slide. So why are we here? There's some animation. Oh, every once in a while, not often.
Like fancy, huh?
Yeah. So, we are here to address the cost of operations is on the rise. Rates have not been adjusted to accommodate these rise costs quite some time. Our aging infrastructure and the need for repairs, we have a spreadsheet on it. That asks, what do we need to do? We need to collect enough income to match our current expenses by law. We need to make needed repairs to recoup loss. Some of these things that are well known are some of our meters. And that is part of our aging infrastructure and quite a bit of income loss there. Then we need to prepare for an emergency. Not only do we need to pay for what's happening today, we need to plan for what's going to happen tomorrow and in the year. Good sound system so that everyone can always turn on their water and flush their toilets. So, first one, the cost of operations on the rise. We'll address that one. As you all are aware, as you've seen through all of your bills, next slide, your electricity has gone up, your insurance, these are some of ours that we have, Kootenai Electric, these from 2008 to 2023, this is how much we've been increasing over the years. That's what we pay annually. As you can see, in 19, it went up almost 12. Next year, 4, 15, 7. In total, for the last 5 years, we have gone up 55%, all while not increasing any of our income. Our billing software, we've received those. That was our more least robust system that we have, as you all are aware now, or hopefully are aware now, as we've been notifying. Our billing software has become more robust as well. People are now able to do their portals online. So this $1,500 is what we're going to be seeing annually for that. Also, you can do recurring payments and auto pay, things like that. See your meter readings. So some people have been liking that. Next slide. Also, our iCrimp insurance over the last 5 years has gone up 72%. This is our newest quote here in 2024 for $10,000 a year. We saw a 15% increase on that just this year. So those are kind of some examples of what our expenses are for the district. I know you guys are familiar with your expenses going up, so ours are a little bit more, but
What is it?
iCrimp covers our entire. If we had a situation where a drunk driver drove into our triplex, if somebody hits one of our water lines, contractor, really any insurance.
Overall insurance and everything.
Yep, and also for our board, individually, for me, not medical insurance, but if I mispost a meeting or something like that and somebody wants to find me, they cover those things. So it's risk management for our board, for us, for our system, everything. iCrimp stands for Idaho City's risk management program. So they cover basically all cities in the state of Idaho. They're very widely used. Next slide. So, what does this look like? All income here is presented without the $8 SRF funds collected. And the reason for that is because that $8 increase that's on your bill, that will never be a revenue source for the district. We are a pass-through. We can never use that money on our annual O&M costs. That is tied to our attorneys and resolutions. It is strictly a revenue bond. We can only charge exactly what it costs per user to repay every year what that costs. So every one customer that comes on throughout the years as we repay this loan, you will see that that amount on your bill change and fluctuate. So the more people we get, that number will go down. But this is also, we're not here to discuss the $8 increase on this time. We haven't closed out the water improvement project. That number is yet to be discussed. That's not a final number as well. But once it is final next year, you'll see that change. This income right here is strictly what it takes to run our district. So as you can see, we go by year. The blue, dark blue is our expenses. The darker colors are going to be our expenses. The lighter colors are our revenue. And then we have the total, which is in orange. Blue for water, green for sewer, orange is total. As you can see, obviously with each one of the columns, it's increasing. And not once are our revenue bars above our expenses. All of our audits are online. We have been operating in a deficit for years. I will address later in the slide why that has not been a bigger problem for us than it is now, but that'll become later. But all of these are matched to our audit numbers, but I wanted to get a visual in there. Next slide. So these are the actual numbers that are represented in that slide. The top column there, and this is in your packet, the top column there is the revenue and expenses and the repairs and maintenance. That top section, and you can match directly to our audits on our website, so you can tie apples to apples. This next line here is minus that $8 SRF funds. Like I said, it's never a source of income for the district. We cannot pay our bills with it. So to give you an accurate representation of where we're at, the pluses and minuses at the end, you can see we were in the hole up at the top, even including the $8 increase that we can't use. You take that out. we're even more in the hole. So, and then sewer down below, you can see all the same types of figures, what our revenues are, what our expenses are, what we pay on repairs and maintenance, and what our audits are showing we are losing year to year. Next slide. So this one is basically the exact same slide, but then I projected out what this fiscal year is going to look like. It's an estimate, it's unaudited. We still have some expenses yet that have not flowed through for this month. That'll continue to happen for the next couple of months, but that gives you a good idea of where we're at right now. Again, the income represented with that $8 increase. Next slide. So we discussed that rates have not been adjusted to accommodate the rise of costs. Next slide. Just to give you a last animation about tiring. So our last rate increases, sewer was January of 2012. That's well before any of our data that we're showing, which you can go back in our audits for further years if you want to do some more digging. That was 11.5 years ago, and it went from $20 to $26. October of 2016, that's right before I came on. It went from $21 to $24. That was 7 years ago. And then we instituted the SRF revenue bond in July of 2019 at $8, and that was 4 years ago. Next slide. So this is just to give you an idea. This is in your packets in case you can't read all those numbers there. This is some of the other water systems in the area, what their base rates are, the number of connections they have. This is just informational. This in no way we are using to calculate our fees. We are required to look at our own income and our own expenses to create our own rates. But this is just comparison, give you an idea, food for thought types of things on the number of connections, what their base rates are, their base limits for water usage every month, what they charge for overage, things like that. I would say probably the closest to our system would be Remington Water District there. The number of connections at $3.99. Their base is $35. They're allowed 25,000 gallons, and that's mainly because every lot there is 5 and 10 acres, and they plan for agriculture. So they're a lot more widespread. Next slide. Then here's some of our sewer rate comparison. We're up on there, but as you can see, we definitely are the lowest on our rate structure. So again, just strictly comparison, and we in no way are using anyone else's figures to determine our own rates. Next slide. So, our aging infrastructure and our needed repairs. This is what we've based our cost analysis on. Next slide. The district has been scrimping and saving with a lot of the repairs that we need to make. We know that we have things that we need to do, but every single year we start getting into our operating and we're taking care of the necessary things. Repairs that come up as they come up, and we never end up getting around to some of the projects that we need to do. Halfway through the fiscal year, Bob and I start looking at each other and going, oh no, we're in trouble. Cut that, cut that, cut that, cut that. We can't do that. Even down to some of the tank pumping this year. I said, if they're not experiencing a problem, they have to wait till the next fiscal year. That's just not how we want to operate with our customers. If they call us and they need a tank pumping and it's on the schedule, we would like to get it to you. And that's just the basics. So these are some of the projects that we're looking at, things that we know that we need to take care of. This is not things are wonderful and fluffy, here's what we would like to get taken care of. These are the things that we have put off for far too long. And much like your house, when you do repairs, you go, I'll get to that, and everything just kind of starts to break all at once. That's kind of where we're at right now. So all these slides, again, will be on our website. You can we're back to looking at them. But I know that for water side, we have 10 meters that we know need replacing. They're broken. Some of them have been for a couple of years. So it's just repairs that we absolutely need to get done. Next slide. Did I lie to you on the animations? I didn't. Okay, so you guys are all asking now what? We've discussed rise of costs, what our projects are, what our last rate increases were. Next slide. So, what do we need to do? Now it's problem solving. Obviously, seems simple. We need to collect enough income to match our current expenses. Next slide. I don't know, it's such a or income expenses.
It didn't take the, didn't highlight the next one. Maybe it's still, you have to go. Nope, we're going to go to that one.
Yeah. So these we're not going to spend much time on, but as you can see from our first numbers on these are directly from our audit there. And right here, operating law. This you'll just see as a pattern from even before 1819. But that's where we're at on our water side, sewer side, and total every single year. You can kind of just skim through all the years there just as a little bit of an example. Again, they're in your packets in case you want to take a deeper look at them. 1920, same trend we see there. That $23,000 on the water looks like income until you take out that $8 SRF that we are not allowed to spend, and then it goes to a negative 20 something. And again, 2021 to 2020 to 21, same trend in the whole. Next. This most recent fiscal year, water fund was down 94,000, sewer 79,000 in total. We were in the hole 173,000. Next. So you might be asking, how is that possible without completely going under? Well, we have a couple of reasons. So we have the LID in Bayview that was to pay for the sewer infrastructure that originally came in. By law, we were required, as all LIDs, to put a year's worth of savings to pay that into a bank account that we are not allowed to touch at all. So once we finally paid off the LID, by resolution, and it was bank account 4560, LID funds, they were able to be released into our general O&M funds for spending. They originally came out of it. We tied them up. By law, we couldn't touch them for 40 years. And so by resolution 2021, which is on our website, we released $111,777.45. On top of that, our account 4552, that is where we put all of our income from the Cape Horn LID, because we had two.
What's an LID?
It's a local improvement district. So when the district needs a project, we go out, every property gets assessed for whatever the project is, the value to their property, and we collect those funds. Similar to a revenue bond, except for an LID, we bill you once a year. A revenue bond, we recoup every single month as part of your user bill. So that account, we still have some funds left in there that we draw from every single year. Legally, we are only allowed, because it was the Cape Horn LID to bring their water infrastructure up there, we are only allowed to spend that on Cape Horn related issues. So at the end of every fiscal year, I print out our water maintenance and I go over and I say, that's Cape Horn, that's Cape Horn, that's Cape Horn. I take that amount and transfer it from that account and I put it back into our general O&M where we can spend it again. So that's what's been keeping us afloat since 2021. Obviously, with how much you've been seeing that we're spending in the hole, we are in a pretty dire situation. We were made aware of that as we were putting our budget together. It has been brought to the attention, but you release funds, you look at the account grow, you go, it's not that much of a crisis. You dwindle, you dwindle, you dwindle. We've been cutting costs left and right. We've researched so many different companies. We have tried to figure out where we can save, and we've more than scraped the bottom of the barrel at this point. We have about 1 year left that we can draw from this 4552 account before it starts hitting our general O&M and we're panicking. Next slide. So this is the resolution that authorized us to do that. If you guys wanted to go and take a look on our website to see how the rules and everything are lined out, everything I just explained, how we're able to do that. It is resolution 2021-001. Slide. All right. Make needed repairs to recoup costs, such as meters. That one, as you guys are aware, we have a lot of aging meters. They, luckily for the customers, read. I don't think I had any. When they age in favor of the customer. They just slow down and they stop calculating how much water is actually passing through. You get charged less. Sounds wonderful. Not for the district. We are pumping all of this water, and on your end, you're receiving a lower bill. On our end, we're receiving less income, and ultimately, nobody's really winning because then we experience a rate increase. So some of the way to properly track our water that we're accounting for water loss and to recoup some income there is we have those meters to replace. You want to resort back to those packets I put in there for eventually what our goal is for meters, but we will do that little by little. This is not some big exhaustive project where we're planning on spending lots of money. We're doing 10, hopefully this next fiscal year. We are going to watch our budget closely because that's what we're used to doing, and we're a little gun shy. So even if we do the rate increase, things are going to be looked over with a fine-tooth comb. Next slide. Oh yeah, this is...
Jesse, on these meter things, do you just go out and turn their outside bib faucet on and take a 5-gallon bucket?
We'll get to questions and answers here in a little bit. We're going to get through the things. So some of the questions I'll be able to answer, some Bob will be able to answer, and we're just going to get through the meeting real quick first. But again, just to remind you on the previous screens, these are some of the things that we're looking on doing and repairing. Next slide. And then, as we all know, we need to be putting some into savings. There is some confusion that the district is just maybe wants to sit on a pile of cash. It's quite a large increase that we're looking at. We are a nonprofit. We legally cannot do that. We cannot spend our income on anything other than this system. It is just not possible. So next slide, but we do need to save for emergencies so that we're prepared. We don't need to pollute our lake. We don't need to be without water for who knows how long because we don't have the funds to prepare it. Scrambling, getting grants, getting loans, all the while we don't have any resources to even pay for the emergency. Next slide. So the question you're all asking, how much of a rate increase are we looking at? And what will the financials look like after that? Slide.
Okay.
No,
You can't tell
this
them.
one I know I stopped. So currently we charge 607 connections, and for sewer we have 667 connections for water. We're at 26 for sewer, 24 for water on a monthly basis. That's about how much we bring in. Of course, during the summer months for water, we do bill for overage, so that does go up during the summer months for that. Annually, that's where we're at. For the increase, it's $12 for sewer and $6 for water. That's what it equates out to monthly for us, and then what it will be annually for income. Next slide. So I took these figures and plugged them into the slides that you guys had already seen, what our audit numbers were, and then projected them for what our next years are going to be. So as you can see, had we instituted these rate increases back then, we would see a $4,000 profit, still in the hole there, still in the hole here, $8,000 profit, and this year where I let you know everything is breaking at once for us. We're looking at stopping the bleed on a lot of these projects. But I just went ahead and spread for sewer side and water side and what that would look like had we been repeating. For sewer, obviously we need to really, really, like I said, look at our expenses. Doing this increase is not like, woo, we're getting money, let's go do this, let's go do that, let's go do that. We still are looking at scraping even. This one says in the hole, but obviously my goal is just to at least break even. I will be looking at budgets with a fine tooth comb. And this one projects that we have about a $1,475 increase. So the price increase that you guys might see on your bills, whatever the board does decide to do after this meeting, is not exactly our saving grace. It is trying to catch up. It's been something that the district has been struggling with for years. So, next slide. So also a big talk of the town was there seems to be some confusion over the commercial billing and are they paying their fair share? I was not aware that there was this confusion. So in our Bayview ordinance here, I know you guys hear me say ER all the time. That discusses our sewer. Here's what that means. Equivalent residence. It is a basic unit of measurement that sewer systems use, not just Bayview, but sewer systems, because it is governed by IDAPA. It is an Idaho statewide unit of measurement that we are required to use.